Hey guys, today's video is all about my favorite podcasts. Welcome back for another edition of Ask Mike Anything, where you ask the questions and I answer them. Everything's on the table, nothing is off limits. But before we begin, I have a little bit of a rant. Don't you hate it when your apps are updated? I mean, come on. Take, for instance, the iOS 11's new podcast app. In the past, everything was just fine. You know, you saw what you played, what you listened to, what was next, what you saved. It was just organized nicely, sort of like this way and that way. Now it's just these thumbnails in your face, and it just seems disorganized. You can't find anything. I can't organize anything. It's just weird. Maybe I'm not getting it, but it's not an update. An update is it's something that's so old that it just needs to be updated. For instance, the iOS system. But I digress. Okay, so I got a question online, another anonymous one. A lot of you guys, come on, if you want me to answer your questions, I'd like to give you guys a shout out, but I honor your anonymity. I honor your anonymity. So we're going to go down the list of my favorite podcasts. So the question was, hey Mike, what's your favorite podcast? I have a lot. Here are my top 14 favorite podcasts. Now, it all started when this guy here, the sexy Kit Williamson, invited me to attend my very first Brooklyn Web Fest. Now, in the infancy of my show, I really had no idea what was going on or what I was doing or where we were going. So I went to the Web Fest to meet people, coordinate, socialize, smooze, see the workshops, learn something I didn't know, and of course get to see some amazing web series and other productions that are out there in the world. And I've met a lot of interesting people and a lot of talented people. So anyway, I meet Kit, and we have a great conversation. And fast forward a year, and our show has been selected. And not only do we get to participate last year, Kit asked me to be a part of the LGBT Creators Cast panel. What does that mean? So, it means me, and along with these incredible folks, we get to sit down on this panel and talk about being LGBT creators in the web series genre, and ours different shows. And so I'm eager to hear what it was all sounding like, because I don't remember anything I said, and I know I probably sounded like a doofus, but I started listening, and they had their own Brooklyn Web Fest podcast. Check that out right here somewhere. So right there, just this one. Look for this icon. And so there it is, and we're in it, and I'm thinking, well, you know, I'd like to listen to some more stuff while I'm on the subway, and I just started scrolling through things that would help me develop better as a content creator and do better by the show. So I found the Indie Film Hustle by Alex Ferrari, and I found the other one there that you see. We're going by cards now. Don't judge. Film Trooper podcast, which is by Scott McMahon, and it's empowering filmmakers and entrepreneurs. And it's amazing. These guys interview a lot of people in the industry from every aspect, from being PAs to directors, showrunners, writers, directors, you name it, they interview these guys. And it helps those of us creating our own content understand how the business side of entertainment works. There's a lot of things that go into creating, say for instance, the Friends or House of Cards, and all the great stuff that Stranger Things, or The Walking Dead. Everything that goes into creating what we finally see on the screen. There's so many moving parts, and there's so many different things from the back end, and we need to learn how to do that so we make really cool stuff. Borrowing equipment, getting insurance, paying actors and production people and all of that. So, but the conversations are so in depth and so knowledgeable that you walk away with the feeling of inspiration, motivation, and knowledge that you didn't have the 20, 30, or 40 minutes, or maybe 60 minutes you had before. So those are my industry favorites: Brooklyn Web Fest, Stormtrooper. All right, Indie Trooper podcast, and the Indie Film Hustle, or I should say that correctly. Yeah, Indie Film Hustle. So check those out. Next up, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because I can't see my notes, so that'll help me out a little bit. All right, so then there's, for my own personal growth as an actor, what is, I mean, I learned a lot over the last few years, but what is the path? What are the roads? Who's who and doing what these days? So I came across the Actor CEO, and that's by Mike Moreno. Now, basically, Mike talks about how working in the industry, how you treat yourself as a business. The actor, me, this person, I'm the business of entertainment and performing a character for your project. So how does that work? How does that connect? How do we treat ourselves in that sense where we're very business savvy and business minded and focused, and take care of ourselves, along with our agents and managers, and managing that side of it? There's a lot of glitz and glam and fun and red carpets and photo shoots and all of that, but to get there, there's a foundation you have to have, and Mike talks about that. Connected to that is, ironically enough, the Actors Connection, where you can take workshops and meet casting directors, and it's kind of like that pay-to-play kind of thing. Not many people are into it. I've attended a few where you pay to go to these workshops and you meet these casting directors, and you maybe do a monologue or two, or they put you in a scene, or they coach you through a project, and you see where it goes, and it helps some. It's not for everybody, but it's an opportunity. And so that podcast is, again, Actors Connection, and their description is a podcast that brings discussion with top casting directors, agents, and actors sharing their stories and knowledge. So it's grassroots and industry folks coming together to share their knowledge and expertise. Now, then there's the health aspect of everything. The Men's Health podcast, which is kind of funny and goofy. BJ Gador is probably the biggest goofball I've seen in a long time. Now, I found them only by accident when I was, we all see these video feeds on our Facebook pages, right? And depending on what you're looking at and where the algorithm is that day, or whatever you touched on, that's what you're going to see all day. So I just happened to put in, crunches or something like that, and then this 21-day shred program that BJ was hawking along with Men's Health, and it's been good. It's sort of breaking up the monotony, and that's where it all began. Was I just got tired of the same old routine, back and forth, and I got bored and stopped going. So I needed something to motivate myself again. So that's what I did. I looked at that and I found BJ. Now, it's a fun podcast. Their Meta Shred program, it really does work. It's really fun. Now, I would suggest following BJ's Instagram feed. It's hilarious and a lot of fun, and you might find something new. As a side note, connected to him, I think they follow each other. There's Julian Smith. He goes by smith.julian on Instagram. He's dreamy and also very knowledgeable in fitness. So take a look at his Instagram too. There's a lot of videos and ideas to give you a new workout, same muscle group, so you can do it in a different way. And you might look weird doing it at the gym because you'll be that guy doing that weird movement. But hey, who the hell cares? It's all about you, right? And of course, they both talk about fitness and nutrition, and that's a really important thing. All right, so number 7. Now, I don't know how I came along this guy, but this is where I feed my curiosity and my knowledge quest. Sometimes I just want to learn something different or hear conversations. I'm very nosy in that sense. Sometimes when I'm standing next to people on the subway, I'm just like listening in to hopefully learn something about them, or something I didn't know. And I just like to hear people talking. And so I don't know how I found him, but Tim Ferriss. I mean, he's one of the biggest self-help motivational speakers of this generation. He talks with so many different people. from all walks of life, from religious leaders to tech people. He was a student at Princeton, and he had dabbled in a few different things, and he wanted to create his own fitness supplement line. And through a different, a journey he had gone on, it was not very good for him. So he decided fitness was the thing that grounded him, and then he started getting into the molecular aspects of fitness and how our bodies react to certain things: food, environment, consciousness. And so he started developing his own fitness food supplements things. So fast forward, it became a self-help thing where he was connecting us, everyone looking for a change in our lives, to people who have made that leap and met their personal success goals. And his biggest book now is Titans, where it's described as sharing the tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires and world-class performers. And I think that's probably how I found him. In my quest to be a better actor, I found his podcast. Now, connected to that, and it's all interconnections. In some of the interviews he did was one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is a 2-part one, which you must listen to. Then there was one with Ezra Klein, who I just love Ezra. He is funny, smart, and the most grounded political reporter of our age. You should listen to his podcast as well. Of course, if you're following Vox, he's the editor-in-chief and creator of that. You're a smart person if you're into that. And then, of course, Tony Robbins, the master of them all, who started my first journey when I was doing real estate full-time, trying to find a better business plan for myself. And then they connected me through all of this around to Kara Swisher. Now, let me tell you something about Kara Swisher. This woman is the most powerful woman in news, and she's a tech journalist. She started out writing for the Wall Street Journal for a little bit, and then she started her own podcast or magazine show called Recode. Her podcast is Recode, Decode, which she interviews a lot of people in the tech world. In Silicon Valley, that's where she's got her fingers in, her nose to the grindstone there. And she hates Uber. She hates everything about the corporate structure of Uber, who was in charge of Uber, and she is cheerleading a lot of the change in the Silicon Valley mindset where women are just treated horribly, people of color, minorities, but utilized and used and abused. And hey, she's bringing it out all open, putting people all on the same playing field to talk things out to help make the change that should happen and needs to happen. She's an incredible woman, and you should definitely, absolutely listen to Recode, Decode. Do it today. I promise you. The old interviews, the new interviews, you are going to learn something about. If you're a geek that way like me, and you want to learn about stuff from the inside, from the people who are in the know, and of course, it's how it's going to affect our lives going forward as technology becomes more and more entrenched in our everyday breathing. Listen to her podcast. Now, when it comes to news, I mean, there's my other favorite gal in the world, and it's Rachel Maddow. Now, I don't have a television, a lot of you guys know, so I listen to anything on the radio or on my phone or what have you. I listen to the Rachel Maddow show the next day after it's broadcast. I know it's kind of stupid, but I needed to decompress from the day before so I can get all revved up about what's going on in the current day. That makes no sense, but when I'm listening to her on the subway going into work, it sort of helps me know what's going on. I could listen to it like maybe an hour or maybe 5 minutes after the broadcast, but I prefer to listen to it in the morning, on my way into work the next day. Now, I'm a political junkie also. I try not to let it drive me crazy. I try not to let it drive my day, but I just have to know. And I think this is from when I was working in law at a law firm as an assistant and a receptionist all those years ago, and understanding how criminal law works and reading briefs and typing these things up and understanding constitutional law from high school. It's just all very fascinating to me. I should have been a lawyer, but I'm not. So I listened to, of course, Meet the Press, Face the Nation, and This Week, since I was, I guess, a teenager. These are the shows that everyone listens to or watches for their political connection to what's happening now in today's day and age. it's important that we all know what's going on. Don't overwhelm yourselves. You don't need to know it every 5 minutes. You don't have to be stuck in there. Don't let it snowball and fall down that rabbit hole. But it's important to know. And these shows, for me, they put everything into perspective. There's a lot of discussion back and forth. They open it all up. They acknowledge every aspect of it. And of course, they call shit out when you need to call shit out. Poo-poo, crap. They call that stuff out. Yeah. I need a breath. I need a drink. So, here's little Dreidel. I'm a crazy kid jumping on the furniture, driving my mother absolutely out of her freaking mind. She grabs me by the neck, sits me down in front of the television, turns it on, and there. The magic of it all. That's what started my road down sci-fi joy, Mr. Spock with the ears and the blue and the goatee and yeah, I'm a Star Trek junkie. I used to run the biggest LGBT chapter of Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Association, here in New York City. And we were the largest in membership only because there was a lot of LGBT members from around the world assigned to our chapter. From Australia, from London, Turkey, Istanbul, Vancouver, Japan. We were the biggest that way, and we did a lot of good. We raised a lot of money for God's Love We Deliver, for the LGBT Community Center. We marched in the parade, and I'm still close friends with a lot of those guys. Now, this show, this podcast, they are new. It's called Engage. Engage is a corporate CBS-backed, funded podcast. They talk a lot about the show. A lot of the interviews are with casts from the previous shows, from Next Generation to Voyager to Enterprise, and the current cast and for Discovery, which I'm not too keen on the name of the show. What are they discovering? I don't know. But what's cool is they get to go to the conventions. They're interviewing members of the production crew. They're interviewing people who go to the conventions, cast, everyone involved, and just bringing back that spark of Star Trek that seems to be and should always be a part of our lives, whether you're a Trekkie or not, if you're a Trekker or not. If Star Trek is important, it's part of the social consciousness that stems from the 60s when we were going through awareness and change and to where we are today. And it's just very important because it keeps the conversation going. And of course, you get to geek out and talk about the uniforms and the pins and the characters and writers and all that fun stuff, just to disconnect and just have some fun. So there are my top 14 podcasts that I'm addicted to. So if you like any of those, they're listed down below. Check out the links, pop them in, listen. Let me know what you think. If whatever Kara Swisher's interview, check out that one with the new Uber CEO and that whole board. It's amazing. Something from Tim Ferriss you're going to love. Listen to his bio. You're going to enjoy it. It'll probably help you figure some stuff out. Tony Robbins, of course, what can I say? Fitness, BJ. It's a cute goofball. Love it. Any other Star Trek Trekkies, do it. Let me know what you think. If you like anything, hit the like button down there. Hit the bell so you know when the next video is coming out. And there you have it. See you guys later. Send me some more questions. I'm an open book. I've got nothing else to do.